Recently, someone asked for a tutorial on how to play two-handed on OCTGN. And Cardboard of the Ring shall answer. Muster the microphone and the recording software. Alright, it's super easy, so open up one session of OCTGN. Once that's open up the second one. You'll get an idiot box asking you if you know what you're doing, and it says another instance of OCTGN is currently running. Would you like to close it? Say no. Once you have two sessions open, it doesn't matter which one. Go to play, start. Okay, so now you have your game up, so the window that you used to start the game, you can minimize. You don't need to use that one again. Now go to the other session that's still in the sign-in screen. Hit play. Wait for it to pop up. There it is. Click on it. Join unlisted. And then here I changed my name to 2. So I know this is going to be the second hand. You don't have to do that, but I find it makes things easier. I hit connect, and there we go. So now I'm in there. So now you can minimize the window. Now you have both join game windows open. Hit the green start button on the 1. This will be player 1's window. And when you do this, it's going to open up 2 OCTGN sessions for the same game. This one is player 1. This one is player 2. The reason you know that is right here. It says CHADGAR24, which is my name. And then on this one, the tab says 2. So I know that's the second player one. And here, you can toggle between the 2 hands. So these tabs here. Global gets you to the encounter deck. I'll get to that in the tips and tricks. So while you're in the first player window, go to game and load your quest and the first player's deck. So I'm going to load my quest. There's my quest. I'll now load my deck. Alright, once your deck is loaded, you can go to your second window. This will be for player 2. This will be for player 2. Load the deck for that player. Okay, once that deck is loaded, you got to do a little bit. So I'm going to actually maximize this screen. So this is player 2's screen. Once again, that's because his tab is first here. That's why I like to rename them so I know who I'm on. So this is player 2. You should know it because of the deck, hopefully. You're going to need to pass control to the first player. That's another reason I like having 2 names. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you like your opening hand. So if you're going to take a mulligan, right click, take a mulligan. Alright, so that's your starting hand. So then you're going to highlight your heroes, so drag a box around them, say pass control, and then I'm choosing player 1, which is my actual name, CHADGAR24, and then click on the white area of your hand, pass control, click on your deck, pass control, and then click on your discard pile, pass control. Now you can minimize this screen and you don't ever have to open it again. So I will maximize player 1. I can toggle between the 2 hands, player 1's, player 2. Right click out here in the white area, visibility, everybody. Now the reason you do your mulligan before you pass control is there is one thing that you can't do very well, and that's draw cards using keyboard shortcuts. And I'll get to that in a second. But as you can see, now I can control both hands from one screen. I have control over the heroes. I can mess around with the cards. So if you hit Control N to advance the round, you can see it drew a card, it added resources. I'll do it again just to show you. Control N. So it is doing it for both hands. I have 8 cards. But what I can't do is double click on this deck. It drew the card, but because the first player controls it, it throws it in the first player's deck. So the only downside of doing it this way is whenever you want to draw a card or do anything that manipulates this deck, like searching it using the keyboard shortcuts, you gotta manually do it. So if you were playing an event that said, you know, here, search the top 10 cards, you would have to right click and say, look at top X 10. And then you can see it. But if I was to just be on this screen and I hit the keyboard shortcut for looking at the top 10, which is Control X, these are cards from the first player's deck. You can tell because I don't have a tactics hero in the second player's hand. So you can't do keyboard shortcuts to search the deck and manipulate this deck. You have to do everything manually. You can drag, right-clicking it will work. So no matter which tab you're on, the keyboard shortcuts will always manipulate this deck. Other than that, everything else works great. You never have to go back to that other screen. So this makes playing two-player really easy. And if that's the only reason you wanted to watch this video, I hope you found it useful. Now I'm going to go through some tips and tricks of playing OCTGN. I already showed you one, and that's how to search the top 10 cards. So Control X will bring up the top 10 cards. And then if you wanted to grab one, just grab it like that. And then when I hit X, I can hit Control W and it shuffles the deck, and it says it right here. I shuffled my deck. So Control W will give you a shuffle. If you want to search the top 5, that's Control Z. And there's your top 5. So that's a quick and easy way to do some searching. So here this card says search the top 5 cards, Control Z, pull out any eagles, drag them to my hand, close the window, Control W, it's shuffled. If you want to put a card in your discard pile, you just hit delete. If you want to add resources, progress, or damage, that's using your function keys, and it just goes in that order. So F1, F2, F3 is resource, progress, damage. So F1, F2, F3. And then to take them away, keep going down the keyboard in that order. So F4 removes a resource, F5 removes progress, F6 removes damage. If you realize you need to add a card, maybe you've been tweaking a deck and you just need to add a card to it, instead of going to the deck editor, you can hit Control A, and that brings up this window that you can now search for the card you need. So I will do Gandalf. And then here you can do quantity, so create. There he is. I'll do it again, Control A. Create. All right, so that's how you can easily create a card. If you want to use a card like Wizard Pipe, where you're switching the top card of the deck with a card in your hand, and maybe instead of having this Gandalf, you have Overhill Underhill Gandalf, for example, where you can't see the top card. So if you want to do a switch of the top card of your deck by using a card like Wizard Pipe, put your cursor over a card in your hand you want to switch and hit Control S, and it swapped it. So I drew Foehammer, and now Eagles of the Misty Mountains is on top of my deck, as you can see. Gandalf here says you can always see the top card of your deck. An easy way to do that is right click on your deck and say visibility, and then you can say everybody, and now that top card is always visible to you. Sometimes you need to boost the stats of a card you have playing weapons or attachments. So if you want to boost the stats of a hero, you need to use Control and then the numbers, and it goes down the line. So you got willpower, attack, defense, and that's 1, 2, 3. So Control 1, 2, 3. So for example, I like to do it like this. So if Gandalf had +1 to all of his stats, I now just put him at 4s because he's originally a 3. So now when I look at this card, I know he has 4 willpower, 4 attack, 4 defense. If an encounter card needs more threat, that is 4. So Control 4. So here this one maybe got boosted, so now it's a 3 threat location. If you're playing a quest that uses the time mechanic and you need to add time counters, that is using 5, so control 5. There we go, add some time counters. To remove stats, you can always just click on them and drag them off. And if you don't remember a shortcut, you can always click and have it turn into like a cursor icon, and hit backspace, and you can change the number to whatever you want. But you can also do it by using a keyboard shortcut. So it's Control Shift and whatever the number was. So Control Shift 4, and then here for Gandalf, Control Shift 1, 2, 3. Puts them back to normal. And to take away time counters, it's Control Shift 5. All right, the last thing I want to talk about real quick is how you manipulate the encounter deck. So that's the global tab. Here, you have your quest cards. So it says quest, and then here's your encounter deck. If you hit Control E, it'll draw the top card. If you hit delete, it'll put it in the encounter discard pile. And then sometimes some quests have special decks, and they show up over here. Each of these is labeled. They're pretty self-explanatory. Same thing, you can right click to search, to look at the whole thing. You can move stuff to a secondary deck over here. So this whole manipulation here, it's more just trial and error. Just everything's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go through them all, but a lot of people can't find the encounter deck, and it's in this global tab. So that's what I wanted to talk about there. That's all I can think of at the moment for keyboard shortcuts. If you see a video where I'm doing something and you want to know how I do it, just comment below and I will tell you how I did it. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. Bye-bye.